You are listening to the Business Leadership Podcast with Edwin Frondozo.
The product we're here to talk about and the product that we just launched after 2 years of R&D is LipDub AI. Once you have a trained model, generating about 1 minute of new content of us speaking, it takes a few minutes, that's all.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Biz Leader. Welcome to another episode of the Business Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Edwin Frondozo, and today we are featuring a special episode from our Future Narrator mini-series recorded live at the Collision Conference in Toronto, Canada. In this mini-series, we explore the future of leadership, innovation, and storytelling with visionary leaders who are not just designing products, but are creating entire new worlds and markets. Joining me today is Dr. Paul Newton, and together we'll be speaking with Matt Panusis. Matt is the co-founder and COO of Monsters, Aliens, Robots, and Zombies, aka Mars, a company that is revolutionizing the visual effects industry through artificial intelligence. In our conversation, Matt will discuss how Mars addresses the labor-intensive and costly nature of traditional VFX, aiming to speed up processes and make them more affordable and accessible. We'll explore two of Mars's key products, Vanity AI, which assists VFX artists in beautification and de-aging, and the new LipDub AI, which enhances the accuracy of dub content by seamlessly syncing audio and facial movements. So without further ado, here we go. We're now speaking with Matt Panusis. He's the co-founder, CEO of Monsters, Aliens, Robots, and Zombies, aka Mars. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, just enjoying Collision here.
Amazing. I'm super excited. Thank you for taking the time to join with us. I guess jumping right in, Matt, what problem is Mars solving in the entertainment industry?
Yeah, effectively what we're solving for is the problem that VFX today, as we know it, it's very labor intensive, which means it's very expensive, it's very slow. We're trying to speed it up, make it more affordable, and we're using artificial intelligence to do that, looking at very specific applications. Are you familiar with VFX? The reason I say use case is because VFX is somewhat of an umbrella term. So within VFX, you may be creating a monster. You may be turning the Toronto skyline into the New York skyline. You may be creating a fantastical environment that's never existed. And it's quite a broad umbrella term for anything to do with computer graphics and film and TV. And so you can't really look at AI as solving for visual effect. So we solve very specific applications, and we try and solve them end-to-end automation.
End-to-end automation. So how, in terms of the very specific use case that you're working through, is it just time that you're looking to solve, or is it resources, or making it accessible for everyone within the industry?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the use case. So our first product was a product called Vanity AI. And with Vanity AI, it is a VFX artist tool.
Okay.
The use case is beautification and the de-aging of celebrities. Okay.
I like that. Very specific.
Very specific. It takes so long to build these AI products, especially when you're doing your own research like we do.
Okay.
But you have to solve a specific problem in our view, just because unless you're doing something like technically companies working on text to video are solving a swath of different VFX problems, but those kinds of problems require like insane amounts of data.
Yeah.
At least for a company like us, we like to stay more focused. So that Vanity product is a VFX artist tool. It saves them about 90% of the time that they traditionally would spend doing that work. But the product we're here to talk about and the product that we just launched after 2 years of R&D is LipDub AI. Also very specific. The original thesis behind LipDub was we all watched Squid Games, and we all had that same visceral experience that you get when you see a piece of dubbed content where the lips don't match. So we said, wouldn't that be a cool problem to solve? We were already focused on the face. And so we built a product that allows for Hollywood studios to feed in new audio tracks for their dubs, and we recreate the face so that every market that gets the content, it looks like it was made in that content. So we lip sync to any dub track effectively.
Yeah, I was just picturing that, everything like, wow, that's interesting.
This is a little too technical and maybe a little bit out of scope when it comes to business leadership and talking about narratives, but I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Are you recreating just the mouth part?
No, you
Or
can't.
you have to do the whole face?
We go from the eyes down.
Oh, because I guess everything moves.
Everything moves, and you don't want to send the network contradictory signals, right?
And when you mean network, the audience.
No, I mean the neural net.
Oh.
As an example, if in the original performance your chin was down because your mouth was open,
Yeah, it would look weird.
if you didn't go higher on the face, your cheeks would provide a contradictory network that the network wouldn't know what to do, and so it would compromise.
Oh, wow.
And also the eyes are the hardest thing to replicate with AI. There's a lot of depth in the eye.
Okay.
What's that old saying? Like the eyes are the
The gateway to the soul.
gateway to the soul. A lot of times when you see CGIs, they look artificial.
Oh.
That was more of a side benefit. But we're really excited about LipDub AI because, we had this thesis for Hollywood originally, which was pretty simply put, let's make your dubs look real.
Yeah.
Make the content much more appealing to international audiences, both North American viewers watching international, but also international viewers watching North American content. But what's been cool is just seeing all the appetite from like other industries. So in fact, like most of our business today is made up of global advertisers that are using us to localize advertisements in a way that's cost effective, but also creates like this super culturally relevant, engaging end product. Online educators and YouTubers, big YouTubers that want to grow the reach of their channels, and even some podcasters.
Yeah, we just chatted with Hafu Go maybe an hour or two ago, and he's like getting 1 million subscribers every month.
Okay.
He's an educator, and he's been doing a lot of the dubbing now to different regions as well. And
Yep.
he just came to mind as you were saying. I'm like, I wonder if, before you said the word YouTubers, I'm like, I wonder if YouTubers could benefit from this.
Yeah, especially because where we really excel is the quality of our articulation, the fidelity of textures. If I were to recreate your face, I could show every single strand of hair, right? Like that level, but also the ability to do complex content. So, even a scene like this where there's two speakers, both of us are speaking from the side, this would be very difficult for any off-the-shelf model. So this is really where we excel. We can do movement, we can do side pose, we can do objects interfering with the mouth.
Like a mic.
And YouTube and Hollywood obviously has a lot of that, but YouTube has a ton of that. So we always think of YouTube as like Hollywood light.
100.
But it's also a growth market where, candidly, Hollywood's in somewhat of a state of decline. YouTube's in a state of growth.
That's right, yeah.
So we're really excited about both spaces.
I'm curious just because of my background when it comes to like software development and everything. When it comes to like different subjects like myself or Paul, like how long does it take your system to learn our language, learn our face? So is there like an onboarding phase right now when you work with new subjects?
So the way LipDub works is you can think of it as like a video setup, which is probably the most computationally heavy part of the process.
Okay.
So if it was an interview of me and you that we wanted to, go into 10 languages.
Yeah.
First step is user's going to have to come in, label me and you.
Mm-hmm.
So the system knows I'm Matt, you're Edwin. Okay. It'll track our faces perfectly. And then it'll train a model on us.
Okay.
So we have, there's a pre-trained model, but then we do a little bit of fine tuning on literally this content so that when it recreates your face, it's going to be perfect. When it recreates my face, it's going to be perfect. It takes about 3 hours.
Okay.
But you do not have to do that for every language. So once you have a trained model, generating about 1 minute of new content of us speaking, it takes a few minutes. That's all.
That's great. And I'm wondering, with the LipDub product, would my mother know the difference?
I don't think you would tell.
Really?
I'll show you some examples after.
Amazing. Because
It's
we'd love to share it for everyone who's listening too.
oh my God, yeah,
For sure.
I'll absolutely show you some
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, it's again, we originally with the view to solve this for Hollywood, it has to look
right.
perfect.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Hollywood won't buy it. Even these other markets that have slightly still appreciate. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a visual product,
Sure.
and so or the value is in the visual, and so to the extent the visuals don't look good, it's
Yeah.
very defeatist.
That makes sense. Matt, this is all fascinating stuff. I'm really excited to look at all that type of stuff. I'm curious from your point of view and within your industry, whether it's in the FX industry or the VTX industry, what other major disruptions are there happening that you're seeing?
in VFX in Hollywood, which is where we came from originally, and there's two different streams of innovation. So there's a certain kind of breed of software coming out that leverages some very powerful models, but works in line with how artists currently work today. So a lot of work in VFX is done with a very node-based system.
Okay.
Within a node, you'll have specific discrete functions you want to do, and you don't want to do them on every frame. So you set up a flow chart, and then you can run it across everything. And so there's a stream of new software that follows that same logic, but incorporates diffusion models. And so as an example, it might be like one node says, take the video of Matt and Edwin. The next node says, mask the table. The next node says, remove the table and in-paint. Remove the table and in-paint would normally be a manual step. Now it's a diffusion step. So it's like there's a breed of software. That particular one is Comfy UI. But Wonder Dynamics, which just sold to Autodesk, was very similar. Theirs was, how do we very easily bring CG characters into live footage? In the same way, their model is broken out into discrete steps, but the point of this brand of software is artists are still in the loop at every step.
Right.
With Wonder Dynamics, it was take my video, isolate the speaker, track the speaker, pick a new character, drag it over the speaker, and then we could use it to have you be a robot very easily. You wouldn't have to be an expert. So it's like tools that are speeding VFX artists up, but are still VFX tools. And then the other swath is, and Vanity, by the way, our first product, is in line with that first branch of software. So that's obviously disruptive. It's making artists much faster. The second swath of innovation, though, is what we call end-to-end automation. Our second product, LipDub, falls into that category. Also, what falls into that category are text-to-video models. So Runway, Pika, everybody saw OpenAI's Sora. These models are extremely disruptive to the VFX space. They're not leverageable yet, both from a quality and control standpoint. Text is a very limiting input. It's very hard to describe exactly what you're looking for in video with text. But images, which was the craze last year, and it's amazing how quickly we advanced, because literally that was groundbreaking, and now that's not that interesting anymore. But it took a very similar path where the first thing ever was text to image, and then people started to say, what if I don't want to start with text? What if I want to start with a picture that I already have and I want to manipulate it? Or what if I want to start with a sketch of a monster that I'm conceptualizing and I want the AI to take it from there? And that's how that space evolved, right? More controls. Videos now in a similar space that text images were in a year ago, where we're just now getting to a quality bar that's really good. But the biggest issues are text is very limiting. There's no temporal consistency across hundreds of shots. If I wanted to recreate you across thousands of shots, you would look a little different in every shot, or the background might look different. I can't really perfectly control what I get from the models. As an example, when somebody's paying us, a VFX firm, to create some world for this opening scene of Game of Thrones, they want perfect control, exactly how the video looks, where the cameras are.
They know what they want.
So these text-to-video models are somewhat limiting, but the flip side is the potential is insane. We're talking about things that used to take armies of VFX artists months to do, that while the control isn't there, the quality needs to get better, can now be done with a keystroke.
Wow.
And almost immediately.
And all these tools, correct me if I'm wrong, it's really just speeding up and just like these super tools for the VFX industry. At the end of the day, you still need these artists, these creatives to really like not control is lack of a better word, that because I know you were using the word control.
Yeah, I think it depends on the audience. Like, you could make the argument that a VFX artist is going to be able to optimize a tool like Sora or Kling, which just came out, or Dream Machine. Once the controls are there, a VFX artist is going to do the best job with those tools. But then you have other markets like YouTube. They never had the money for anything remotely close to this level of VFX. They're going to take the out-of-the-box stuff that you can get today, and I think they're going to start to do some amazing stuff, like in YouTube.
It's outside of the industry, right? So you don't even know what they're thinking.
You don't know what they're thinking, but they've just never had access to this, right? Like, to do visual effects it's always been primarily the real estate of Hollywood, because it costs
so much,
tens and sometimes hundreds of millions. Now you have things that are very good that you can accomplish with a keystroke, And so that's why advertising is leaning in heavily. I think VFX and the advertising landscape is going to get disrupted pretty soon because of technology like text to video. And I think YouTubers are just going to have so much fun with it because it's like endless possibilities now of what I can do with my YouTube content. And I don't need an army of VFX artists to do so.
Yeah, that's cool. I guess this is more on the personal side, but I wanted to ask you, what does a fully democratized world of FX across industries look like?
I think it looks like what I just described. I will use the text to video example as well, like I just did, and I'll use the lip dub example. Text to video is democratized visual effects. Visual effects being this thing that historically is unbelievably expensive, unbelievably time consuming, only affordable for the biggest Hollywood productions. Now, a 13-year-old kid who is starting a YouTube channel who has a vision, or let's just even go with a 13-year-old kid that has this vision for a film that he wants to make. Will it look as good as theatrical? He can make something, no, but he can make something that actually, from a visual standpoint, has the same elements as what you would see in a Hollywood film. If that's the definition of democratization, right? It's accessibility to something that you've never had accessibility to as well. It's going to cut across industries. Hollywood is going to adopt it once the controls are there. Other industries are going to be so excited about what it gives them today that they're going to start adopting now. Lip dub is also for Hollywood, but it's cheap and fast, and that's why we're excited. It's YouTubers who don't have insane budgets are now, for the first time, going to be able to localize their channels. Even Hollywood couldn't afford to lip sync content in the past. Let's do across a 120-minute film. Every character, every scene has to be lip synced in every language. You're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. That's why they never attempted it. That's why even at Hollywood, we still put up with bad dubs that aren't synced. So even Hollywood couldn't afford it, let alone the kid in his basement in YouTube. Now it's accessible to not only Hollywood, but it's going to be accessible to YouTubers. It's going to be accessible to the guy that has a really cool course that he wants to put out into different languages. These tools are super fast, super affordable, which means they're accessible. All these industries are going to be picking them up as a result.
That's amazing, Matt. Thank you for sharing. What's the vision that you're building for the future?
Right now, we're really excited about LipDub. We're really excited about the idea of helping to connect the global community by removing the language barriers that exist in media, namely video. We're seeing like both Hollywood and YouTube, to your point around that YouTuber that was starting to dub, he's not the first one. Mr. Beast was the first, and we're now working with him to do the rest of his stuff, lip syncing it. Hollywood shows like Squid Game, Money Heist, and Dark have proven how much people don't care where content's made. A good story is a good story. Mm-hmm. But there's barriers that exist, both audio and visual barriers. So we think by lifting those barriers, there's going to be an unbelievable level of connection in the global community that has never existed. Another example would be in the YouTube space. We're doing K-pop folks right now. In the past, if I were to watch their videos with captions, I would feel like I somewhat got to know them, but not in the same way as somebody that spoke my language. Sure. And when I watch a lip dub video of a K-pop star, I just feel like I know that person for the first time. We all live on this small planet, but there's these very real barriers that prevent us from connecting. And I don't know, for us, it's like a really meaningful purpose for this. At least it's like a product vision that we're going to focus on for quite some time. And then over time, we're just going to continue to work on more products that, again, help democratize different elements of visual effects. But certainly for now, this one's like taking up a lot of our time.
Yeah, that's great. Any final thoughts for the business leader, entrepreneur, founders that are listening today?
Just generally?
Advice, recommendations.
For like entrepreneurs?
Yeah, or founders, or executives even.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one. I don't know. Focus on the I'll just say
it could be navigating like the disruptions of AI and how it's doing that.
Well,
advice, because you're doing that right now.
What I'd say is there's kind of two ways you can approach it. You can look at the needs of your users, ask yourself what needs are being unmet, what problem isn't being solved. But I also find, at least the way we did it, we asked studios, what do you wish you had that you weren't getting? We learned that they loved the quality. They just wanted it faster and cheaper. The other thing we did is look at the trends in the underlying tech and then ask yourself the question, if the tech continues on this trajectory, what will it be able to do? And if it can do those things, what will that mean for my space? Because I find sometimes people assume that the tech either doesn't work or it's not going to continue to accelerate. I think there's enough proof points at this point to say you should probably take the other stance, which is assume the tech gets incredibly good, incredibly fast. If it does, what will it mean for my business? And if no one, I don't know, as an example, there was so many chatbot companies that I don't think asked that question around like how good will LLMs get and how quickly. And if they had asked themselves that question, they might know that their core business is about to be disrupted. In visual effects, when we started in 2019, the concept that AI would be able to generate something that even looked remotely as good as what a VFX artist could produce with a keystroke was laughable. And people laughed at us for pursuing the space. But we took the stance of saying, let's just assume that it's true. Let's assume that AI is going to get really good at graphics quickly. What's that going to mean for our space? It would mean disruption of the core VFX model. So instead of being part of that core VFX model, let's be part of that innovation. Look at the tech trends, because the tech trends will give you the combo of asking your users what they need and looking at tech trends that you think are relevant. You're probably going to come up with a product in the matrix of those two questions.
That's great advice. I love that. I love that advice. Matt, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much, Edwin.
That's it, Biz Leader. Thank you for joining me on this special episode of the Business Leadership Podcast, part of our Future Narrator mini-series, which was recorded live at the Collision Conference in Toronto, Canada. This was, for me, an amazing conversation with Matt Panusis, just exploring how Mars is transforming the VFX industry. For links to all the resources we discussed, to connect with Matt, and to learn more about the Future Narrator project, please do swipe into the show notes within the app that you're listening to now. And if you are interested in reading, that's right, reading more about Matt and other business leaders that we profiled, please do join our waitlist for our upcoming book. And by the way, if you found any value in this episode, please subscribe, rate, and share it with the very first person that comes to mind that could benefit, and more importantly, be grateful from hearing from you. Your support helps us grow and brings you more great content. Thanks again for tuning in and being part of our community. Until next time, have a 100x day.